In 2017, statistics were conducted by the World Health Organization, and it was found out that over 350,000 people die every single year out of substance abuse, which actually lead to premature deaths, and among the substances used were actually illicit hard drugs, which actually contributed to direct deaths, which was actually caused through drug overdose, and indirect deaths that actually occur due to risks of getting infected with various diseases such as AIDS due to sharing of needles when inducing the drugs in their bodies through the use of syringes, cancer, which was actually caused due to the harmful chemicals in the tobacco smoke. Both the amount of smoke and length of time you have been smoking for it affects you and places your health at a risk of contracting cancer. Heart disease. This mainly caused by high consumption of drugs such as cocaine, which actually causes dilated cardiomyopathy after consuming the drug for a very long time, whereby it has negative complications such as heart failure and heart valve defect. Liver cirrhosis. This case is actually caused by excessive consumption of alcohol, which actually result to liver failure. When these drugs are consumed excessively, they actually result in depression that lead to committing of suicide. Making matters worse is that this numbers of drug abuse and death cases keep on increasing every single year. Hence, the situations raises so many questions such as, who actually introduces the victims to drug abuse? What makes them to stick in drug abuse? What are actually the calamities that come about due to drug abuse? And also, what is the solution to the problem? Now, if you stick with me from the beginning up to the end of the video, then you will learn a life-changing process that you would be grateful for the rest of your life, whereby you will learn the cause of drug abuse, the effects of the drugs after consumption, and the solution of how to overcome the drug abuse addiction. And I promise if you stick with me further, then I will give you a bonus content on how to prevent yourself and the people around the community that you are living from not get involved in drug abuse. In order to solve any problem in life, then one needs to understand the problem and the root cause of the problem, since they would give as much details on how to solve that particular problem. First, you need to understand that drug addiction also refers to the abusive, maladaptive dependence on drugs, which causes significant impairment or distress, whereby it's usually caused due to two reasons: individual factors, and the second is social environmental factors. The individual factors include low self-control, curiosity, pursuit of excitement and comfort, alleviation of distress, poor coping mechanism with stress, and low level of awareness of negative consequences of drug abuse. Social environmental factors include the existence of life stress events, weak social bonds, and adverse environmental factors. Example, bad role models, such as negative peer influence and poor family education, low availability of rewarding life choices other than drugs, family relationship with little emotional contact. Despite the fact that both individual and social and environmental factors can lead to drug abuse, the main reason as to why people get involved in drug abuse is actually contributed by the people he associates with them, well known as the peer group. Peer influence is when you choose to do something you wouldn't otherwise do because you want to feel accepted and valued by your friends. Out of peer pressure, it can lead to changes in behavior, beliefs, and attitudes as you strive to conform to the standards and norms of the group. In most cases, it is usually the teenagers who fall as the main victims by choosing to try things they normally wouldn't be interested in, like smoking or behaving in antisocial ways. Peer pressure and influence might result in teenagers: 1. Choosing the same clothes, hairstyle, or jewelry as their friends. 2. Listen to the same music or watching the same TV shows as their friends. 3. Changing the way they talk or the words they use. 4. Doing risky things or breaking rules. 5. Taking part in sexual activities. 6. Smoking or using alcohol or other drugs. Once you take the drugs consistently, the body reacts to that habit, and now taking of the drug doesn't become something that you want, but it turns out that it becomes something that you need in your life. Actually talking about addiction, this case actually brings us to the question, what makes one to stick in drug addiction? The feeling of pleasure is how a healthy brain identifies and reinforces beneficial behaviors such as eating, socializing, and sex. The brains are then designed to increase the odds that we will repeat the pleasurable activities, and the neurotransmitter dopamine is the one responsible for all this. During the pleasurable experience, it makes the dopamine signals that something important is happening that needs to be remembered. This dopamine signal causes changes in neutral connectivity, making it easier to repeat the activity again without thinking about it, leading to formation of habits. The drugs produce intense euphoria. They also produce larger surges of dopamine, powerfully reinforcing the connection between consumption of the drug, the resulting pleasure, and all the external cues linked to the experience. Due to the large surges of dopamine, it then teaches the brain to seek drugs at the expenses of other healthier goals and activities. The cues in a person's daily routine or environment that are linked with drug use because of changes to the reward circuit can trigger uncontrollable cravings whenever the person is exposed to these cues. Even if the drug is not available, they would do all their best to make sure they get that. Drugs, even if it means to commit a crime in order to satisfy their cravings. Up to this point, then the question arises, why are drugs more addictive than natural rewards? The difference between normal reward and drug reward can be aligned to difference between someone whispering into your ear and someone shouting into the microphone. Just like how we turn down the volume on a radio that is too loud, the brain of someone who misuses drugs adjusts by producing fewer neurotransmitters in the reward circuit or by reducing the number of receptors that can receive signals. As a result, the person's ability to experience pleasure from naturally rewarding activities is also reduced. This is why a person who misuses drugs eventually feels flat, without motivations, depressed, and is unable to enjoy things that were previously pleasurable. Now, the person needs to keep taking drugs to experience even a normal level of reward, which only makes the problem worse. Hence, the person will need to take a large amount of the drugs in order to produce familiar high, an effect known as tolerance. Just like we all know that there are consequences to all the decisions that you make in your life, and the same case applies here, whereby there would be drugs effects into our own lives. Now, this brings us to the answer of the question, what are the effects of drug abuse? When it comes to drugs, they not only affect your physical body and health, but also your finances, relationships, social life, and also they can lead you into a criminal record. And when I speak about health-wise, some drugs will make you feel more relaxed, alert, and energetic, while others will give you a calm, relaxed feeling. While others, they alter your perceptions and can cause hallucinations. When consumed for a long time and in large quantities, they cause negative effects which actually may result to death. This is due to disease such as HIV and AIDS risks from sharing needles and permanent damage to the brain and other organs. Some studies that were actually collected by the scientists from the World Health Organization show that drug use increases your risk of mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, and even psychosis. And when it actually comes to finances, some drugs can also be very expensive depending on availability and demand. If you are addicted to drugs, then you could end up in financial trouble. Since drugs change your behavior, they can also affect your relationship with family and friends, which it's actually an increased injury to both you and other people. The hard drugs are usually illegal, and you can be sent to prison or even fined for having them. Hence your name ending up in a criminal record, making it very hard to get a job, apply for a loan, or even travel overseas. Alcohol and other drugs can cause serious effect in your driving skills, hence resulting into an accident, injuring yourself and others, or even in worse scenarios, it can lead to death. When it comes to addiction, then you need to understand that addiction is a lifelong illness. And when you are in recovery, there are two parts that actually motivate you: to enter recovery and to remain in the recovery process. In order for one to have strong motivation, then find the benefits of recovery, this can be achieved through the following. Personal value. These are actually external factors that are necessary for motivation. They are things that matter to you, significant to others, career or self-image. Having someone in life that you don't want to disappoint can also be a great factor of motivation. Losing things that matter. After coming across a calamity such as spouse asking for a divorce, being fired from the job that you were working in, or even losing your friend or even relative on car accident after he drove while he was drunk. Support. Having a supportive environment who they want you to get better can also contribute to motivation of quitting drug abuse, since there would be people to monitor him as he is moving forward towards the recovery, the promise of a new future. There are also some events that are likely to come in the nearby future in your life that actually motivate you good rewards, such as being accepted in the university where you will study the career of your choice and getting a job of your dreams. Scary situations. Traumatizing situations that actually cost you a lot, such as suffering an overdose and risking your life, had a run-in with the law, lost a lot of money buying the drugs. But even as much you are doing your best to quit from drug abuse, you need to understand that there would be challenges. And I mean very serious challenges. They actually include the following: developing new coping strategies. Getting sober is not just avoiding the drugs and alcohol anymore. And it might also involves establishing new lifestyle that supports your recovery through developing new coping strategies to manage stress and dealing with anxiety and craving. It's seriously challenging and is also time-consuming. Addressing trauma and shame without alcohol and drugs. Many people suffer from addiction, use drugs and alcohol in order to face the trauma and shame. It can be very difficult to do away with them since it requires a lot of effort, time, and bravery to confront these issues head-on and address the deep-seated issues that have contributed to your addiction. Building new relationships and repair old ones. Having relationships that provide love, support, and hope is an essential part of life in recovery. And all this can be achieved when people who care about you will support and help you to get rid of the friends who actually lead you into drug abuse. Boredom. The fact that you were using alcohol and drugs before and trying to be sober can be a very big threat, since most of your free time was spent using drugs and alcohol. Now, without those things, then your body has to adapt new ways to adapt being sober and avoiding the drugs. Relapse. It's the biggest challenge faced by many addicts during recoveries. Cravings, stress, anxiety, and old acquaintance can be potential threats when trying to stay sober. Finding your purpose. When trying to get rid of drug abuse in your life, you will also find out that you have no life purpose, and this can contribute you to go back to drug abuse in order to run away from the reality. Since you have actually wasted a lot of time not being productive, and now you find your life being meaningless and worthless. So guys, after you have come across those challenges and you find them to be difficult, do you just give up and continue to take the drugs? Well, my answer to it's actually no. For I am going to show the way of actually overcoming that kind of problem by actually providing you with the solutions just like I had promised you before. Now pay attention closely and take notes, for what I'm about to tell you can literally turn your life into the right direction, and when applied earlier and consistently, the better. Keep a distance from people who are actually jeopardizing with your health. The easiest way to avoid the peer pressure is actually staying away from people who actually misuse the drugs and also end the friendship with them. This can be easily achieved through considering your priorities and goals in your life. It is also advisable to create new friendship with new people who are always sober, since they will support you to stay clean. The people who are involved in peer groups and drug use actually have signs of mental issues. It can also indicate that a person is insecure about his situation. They actually don't feel good about themselves and find it easier to tear others down as opposed to building themselves back up. Don't be afraid to walk out of compromising situations. In case you are at an event where people are actually abusing drugs and alcohol, don't be afraid to walk away and say no when asked to take the drugs. Your long-term health is very important rather than trying to make other people happy. Who can you call for help? Seek for professional help. Have someone who you can easily get in touch with when you're in danger of relapsing because of peer pressure. It could be a spouse, friend, or even a family member. He or she is actually responsible to remind you of what you are actually likely to lose by falling back into old addictive habits. Contacting with those people can also help to identify what triggered your craving for an illicit substance in the first place. Think about the money you're saving. If you were to purchase 30 drinks at a bar, you could easily spend more than $300. Therefore, avoiding drinking alcohol could actually save you hundreds of dollars per month. The same is true if you give up marijuana, cocaine, and other drugs. Consider the legal consequences of your actions. There is a chance that you could be taken into custody for any actions that you take when you're drunk. Example, drinking and driving. Once the custody takes action on you and you end up in jail for a certain period of time and you are out, your criminal conviction might cause difficulties in other parts of your life as well. Example, seeking for a job, traveling overseas, and also loan requests from banks. Exercise. Working out is good for the body and mind. As your physical health improves, you will also experience the natural high of endorphins, which can elevate your mood. And an exercise routine creates a structure to your days, helping to reduce the relapse. Eat well. What you eat is actually what you become. Eat a well-balanced diet to improve your physicality and mentality. Hence, you will feel energized and less likely to go back to drugs and mood booster. Find new hobbies. It's always advisable to always be, since your mind would be focused on doing the work, But on your free time, then look for hobbies that also help you to be concentrated and enjoyable so that the thoughts and the cravings of the drugs wouldn't have a chance upon you, especially the outdoor extracurriculum activities such as soccer, since the activity will literally make you busy, and once you are done with playing, you will tired and you straight head to bed. Just like I had promised you that I will give a bonus content concerning prevention of drug abuse to the people in your community. I believe this is the right time to deliver what I had actually promised you before. As you all know that prevention is better than cure, the same applies in drug abuse. Avoiding the hard drugs completely is much better than to recover from them due to the following reasons. Family-based drug prevention. Prevention of drug abuse should actually start at home as early as possible. The benefits are actually self-awareness and enhancement of parent-child communication skills and family bonding. Parental supervision and involvement are critical in adolescence. The parents must not have a plan on how to educate their children on drug abuse, but actually establish and enforce family rules. This includes creating an effective system of monitoring their children's activities. School-based drug abuse prevention programs. Drug abuse prevention should be addressed as early as in preschool. The children will actually benefit from learning how to handle aggression, solve problems, and communicate better so that they can avoid putting themselves at risk of drug abuse later in life. The middle school should focus on peer relationships, communication, assertiveness, drug resistance skills, and developing anti-drug attitudes. Community-based drug abuse prevention programs. When community decide to come together to fight against drugs, they're sure to make an impact in the prevention of drug abuse. There are many institutions to establish these prevention programs, including schools, churches, and community-based clubs. We have actually come to the end of the video. But before I go, I would like to advise you to take actions on the knowledge that I have provided you in your life, since the knowledge will only be valuable to you only if you put it into practice. Since knowledge is not power, but actually applied knowledge is power. In case you are new in this YouTube channel, the content that is usually discussed in this channel, it's all about business skills, entrepreneurship skills, life skills, motivation, and self-help. If you are interested in any of these topics, then consider yourself at home by clicking on the subscribe button, whereby you will actually be notified once I upload a new video. And don't forget to show gratitude to me through this video by clicking the thumbs up if it really helped you, and in case of any query or questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I would be very happy to respond to you as fast as possible in the comment section below. As for now, goodbye.